Hey, it's Shaves, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 1st of February to the 8th of February. I don't got any videos this week that I didn't think were not good. Hell yeah. So we're going to go start with a request video from Cozy. Wanted me to talk about Waka Laka for Osaka from Kankuro Forever 1. And from 2007. That's close to 15 years ago. And this is sort of an AMV type little thing. It reminded me of AMV Hell, where, a popular subject is Azumanga Daioh, so this is with Azumanga Daioh. But very colory, using like the rainbow effect or whatever, very retro. It's retro now, right? And a lot of fun effects and cutting out stuff. And this is actually fairly advanced, I would say, for an AMV of this era. Not like, stuff's impossible now or whatever, but, you usually don't see this sort of degree for a lot of AMVs being made at this time. And very energetic and fun and kind of a wacky thing, and very nostalgic for people who find this sort of stuff on YouTube early back then. And it's kind of their way of experiencing otaku or weird, kind of like the very energetic kind of Japanese culture that is very infectious and energetic and attractive in ways. At least gets us kind of hooked. I remember Caramel Dancin' is a very infamous, popular one. I remember loving the piss out of that. Or Samurai, I think that's the name of it. It's like it's I or whatever. This sort of reminded me of that, even though I had never actually heard this song before. So that was interesting and cool, and it was very creative with using Azumanga Daioh, and like had the lip slaps like kind of going with the music as if they were kind of singing it. Also, this like Dance Dance Revolution aesthetic behind the whole thing, with a lot of the arrows showing up, and kind of felt like it was a level. It has like a beginning, like intro screen, and then an exit screen at the end, like a completion sort of thing. So I thought that was an interesting angle as well. But I really liked it. It was a very energetic and fun, very quick 2 minutes. Don't have much too else to say besides that. But yeah, pretty cool. Thanks for requesting it. So now for the videos that I thought were decent. Pretty good. And this first one is from Wen Bilson, and I don't know if I've talked about his channel, maybe way back or something. But I remember like we kind of found each other and mutual in that way, but we haven't really interacted with each other beyond that. But that's okay. He kind of does his thing. He's very nerd writer-esque of this type of very posh video essay in a way, and very aesthetically pleasing videos. But he's doing this kind of cool thing, and it obviously caught my eye when he was reviewing Akira here. But it's not an anime thing so much. This just happens to be something that's anime related, but a thing that's kind of cool. He seems to be doing a one video a day, Miyamafa type of thing. But with if Wen Bilson happens to be watching this, and I assume his name is Ben, but I don't want to assume. If you have me watching this, Miyamafa is an acronym for Maybe I'll Make a Fucking Video, which is this trend that happened a while ago for people that wouldn't upload very much, and there was the challenge for them to upload once a day for 30 days sort of deal, and to get those creative juices flowing. It's really cool. I haven't done one quite myself, but I think it's interesting. But you seem to be doing something similar here, where it's 1 minute movie reviews. But the cool thing with it, I wanted to really point out, because it's just an Akira review, whatever. At least this first one, and at least this Akira one and the one before it, but I assume all of them, they're all in vertical video. So that seems to be a little of a trend on YouTube at this point. I mean, not a super big trend or anything, but I remember I'm subscribed to Legal Eagle, and he's been starting to post little shorts like that on his channel as well. Things that he's just able to kind of give a quick comment on, and they're very short. It's probably something he can post on TikTok or something like that, I imagine. I'm interested. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, but it didn't seem to me that you can upload videos on TikTok. You can make them on TikTok, but I don't know if you can like just here's the video I made in Premiere or something, and then put that on TikTok. I don't know if that's a thing, but if it's a thing, I would very much like to do that, because it's a really great platform, I think. For it's also it's where a lot of people are, right? And you want people to see your content and stuff. But yeah, he's using a vertical video here, and it looks really great. I think the visuals here are awesome. It's only indecent because it's just a minute, and has to be very succinct with his review of sorts. He just kind of mentions one track and certain design and whatever, but so it's very bite-sized, and that's certainly intentional. I think that's really cool. And yeah, I like it. I'm happy. So yeah, that was really interesting and cool, I thought. 14Spoons put out, I published the longest light novel title ever, and not sure if it's a world record yet, because Guinness is taking a long time to give him approval of sort, or like give him the rules, I guess. Like, obviously a lot of people, since it's such a popular Guinness is such a popular institution, I guess, and everyone wants to do these random arbitrary world records of sorts, which is a grave they dug for themselves, but that's a whole other thing. Carl Jobst had a really good video about Guinness that was very eye-opening for me. It's like, look, they don't or whatever, but regardless of that, 14Spoons literally published a book on Amazon, and it's like 90 pages, and it's one continuous sentence that counts as the title. And he says, if I was to read it to you, it would take 3 hours. And I'm like, maybe you could have made it like an unlisted video or something, or like a separate video or something like that, because that would have been funny. It's like, I read the longest light novel title or something like that. That would have been cool too. Just saying. But I get the formula that he includes here to make it the longest title by characters, because he had to in order to beat the existing world record, which was just like a list of a bunch of like all the mammals on Earth or something like that. In order to beat that, he had to beat it he was able to beat it in words, but the record is based on characters. So he's like, okay, to add to the characters, I found this arbitrary way to include the longest chemical formula. So he ends up beating the guy by like 180,000 characters or something. I don't know, some crazy number like that. Yeah. So like the detail he included in this video talking about it was really interesting. But it really is as it is. It's just like, yeah, I did it. So I think it was really interesting and cool, but unfortunately, because it's one long title, he can't really give you any snippets or as much detail about it, or the thought process or anything. And I also kind of get why he might not want to do that, because he doesn't want to like spoil it for you, I guess, because it's like, it's a product. He wants you to, I don't know if he wasn't like pushing or advocating for you to buy this or something, which I appreciated, but it is a thing for Amazon. It is a thing that he made and would get profit from, I think, which is kind of cool. I think it's just great that he published something like this and just went through that whole process. I think that's really impressive and exciting. So I just wanted to shout that out. That is kind of cool. Cool props. Nice job there. HazelNeverTalks is still active, just not on Twitter. Sorry. No. For Suicide on Facilia Fields is continuing her series of AMVs related to Wonder Egg Priority, which she's really fucking with. Let's go. And I'm so happy she's doing that. And it probably won't happen very often after this, because it's like, it's got to be a cool seasonal to warrant doing something like that, making an AMV for every episode of the thing that comes out. But I think that's really cool and topical, and actually kind of something that, like, if she was going to pursue this as like a legitimate, like, try to grow her channel and stuff like that, I feel like that could be something that would really, like, that could be kind of a trendy thing, potentially. Granted, it's if she likes the thing, because it's hard to, I would imagine it's really hard to make an AMV that's like on something you don't care as much about, right? If you're mid on it, or like you don't like it, it just doesn't feel, you have to enjoy the process. I think that's really crucial when making AMVs, at least in my experience. But I think this is really, really cool that she's doing this very consistently, all things considered. Maybe not the most consistent, or maybe she missed an episode or something. But like, I may have mentioned this elsewhere when she was thinking of doing that for Sailor Moon or whatever. But it's just like, don't feel any pressure or rules that you set for yourself. I certainly get trapped by that myself all the time. Or like, no, I gotta release it this time, or gotta do it this way, or something. But let me talk about the actual AMV. It's actually really cool. I like that she layered an entire sequence of scenes from the episode as a kind of a narrative through line throughout it, and then the AMV portion really is the aesthetic that's layered on top of it, the music that's caught underneath it, the vocal thing that she's repeating throughout the whole, like, kind of like as a rhythmic type of thing, so it becomes kind of a whole new song in a way. The really thoughtful choices with the particular flowers, and then having that statement at the end of the Hanakotoba, the flower words that they represent, those particular flowers. The masking there is really cool too, but I liked that it wasn't so much like just a mask. It was a mask with an opacity, so you're still able to see through it in parts. I thought it was really nice. And the whole text in the back is really evocative, like the whole I was molested, and then having this scene kind of play in the middle was really powerful. More Ava footage. What it's like a spice, you know? It's like, well, I just want to throw some time in there. I just want to throw some Evangelion. just you know, it's because it's nice. It's what you do. Just the same montage. No. It's not, you know, that just speaks to my thing where, like, I get hives if I realize I used the same clip twice in a video. It, like, I was like, but I saw that already, you know? And again, that's not a rule, right? It's just a preference that I have. So, I mean, you know, seeing how often she's using it is great, and it's of course clearly effective. It's just like, yep, there it is again. You know, it's like, but yeah, I think this is really cool and interesting. I watched through F.C Weaboomer's Big video on the life cycle of a Fujoshi, talking about her journey from being an introduction, like learning what yaoi and BL is, to like the finding various shows, because, you know, become a diehard fan, and as a Fujoshi, like, legit, you kind of really just seek out other shows just like it, and watch all of them, type of deal. And so she's kind of going through the difference. Then I watched this one and this one and this one, and she has like this diary entry of things that she wrote, which is really helpful. I think it's a really cool spine to kind of lay the whole video through. Although I think it would have been cool and interesting if there was, like, if you either added the text or you had screen caps of the diary in places, because I don't know, it would have felt some more authenticity or more of an engaging visual thing. I think the real tough thing with this video was just the choices of visuals. It really is either her avatar, which is various different faces, which are very good faces and expressive and change very often, or just like clip selection, and then it's like very much in the it's like this size on the screen kind of deal. And sometimes it's like inverted colors and text over it because YouTube bots caught it, because I couldn't tell. She's clearly using the uninterrupted clip and just slapping it in there. It's not really like edited cleanly in that way. You're gonna have to either have it like moving or off screen for periods of time. Because yeah, long stretches of clip selection like that are going to get your video detected and probably blocked or something. So instead, you know, but having the invert colors and the text over it is not a very engaging, appealing thing. So it ends up just being like, I just want to listen to this. You know, it doesn't feel like there's anything pulling my attention to it as a video. So I'm just going to just kind of tune it out, maybe go on Twitter or something, or just listen to it. You know what I mean? So that's what ends up happening when you should make those choices. And they're not like the choices are poor. It's just that's kind of what happens. It's the same stuff, and you kind of already get it. And it's not worth paying attention to in that way. But the content itself I thought was really interesting, with talking about I think I like the fact that you had so much documentation of your thoughts of these shows, and that you were really willing to go into detail about them and being like, I didn't like this aspect of it. I liked this part, and this wasn't so. You really talked in depth about them, and they didn't feel like footnotes. They felt like significant points of your life cycle in a way, right? And those were interesting. And you're obviously talking about shows that very, very few people talk about. I think they're not like huge hitters or something like that. Like you're talking about like Number 6 and I don't know, like others. I'm not really versed in the genre, so a lot of the titles flew past me. And because I didn't know so much about them, it was harder for me to engage when you were talking in those terms. When you were talking about the shows, I couldn't quite as easily follow it, I guess. In part because I was I wouldn't say distracted, because I was entertained by it. I do think you have one of the most unique and interesting. I don't want to say bizarre because it's kind of comes off negative, but like I like it. But it's off kilter. It's very like YouTube. It's like trying to do like a YouTube voice, right, with a YouTube narration, but it's very forced, right? And it's very like a radio host sort type. It's like you're on the radio, and but like in like a commercial type of radio thing where you're like on the news, and then it's engaging, but it is just really noticeable, and I end up kind of just like falling into that rhythm as like listening to that as like, wow, this is such an interesting sound for delivery, and then it kind of skims past me of what you're actually saying at points. And it's what it be, and that's probably like how you do talk, and that it is what it is. It's like I'm not going to compare you directly to Chills. It's not like you sound like Chills, but it's the same idea where people are surprised that he actually sounds like that, and it's this very, again, unique, memorable type of cadence and delivery that really makes him stick out. And maybe just some people in an ironic, funny way, but to others, I think in an unironic, like iconic, very memorable, effective delivery and cadence. But it's like he actually sounds like that, surprisingly. So maybe you do. So that'd be interesting. But yeah, like that was something that was really sticking out to me the most, and like was kind of the thing I took away the most from it, was just and I noticed it in your other video with I forgot the name of it. Shoot. It was for November. It had a similar cadence to it as well, but this one especially, I think, because you were so passionate with the subject as well. Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. So it is a big video. I don't know if it needed to be this big, because you were describing it. The bulk of it is because you're describing these shows in so much detail and being like, I didn't like this aspect, talking very in depth about them. But I think that's effective and something that's like interesting and warrants the length. Although it's like, yeah, it is kind of beefy, in terms of a big video. But I know the feel of releasing a big video, and it's like, oh, this ended up longer than I wanted it to be. Happened to me this week. It's not fun, but is what it is. Yeah, but I like that video a good deal. Checked out Super Eyepatch Wolf's perennial classic, The Current State of Shonen Jump, 2021, and I get that he still does the top 10 sort of thing as a narrative device of sorts, and this definitely goes through phases, and he has his Shonen Jump graveyard and things like that. And he's able to really, or like the newcomers, and he goes through all of those. And I think this is great, especially, and I think I may have mentioned this last time I talked about this series, where I think this will be very valuable in the years going forward, because it's like the first time you talk about them like very early on, and it's like, this could be the potential to be really big, and then it doesn't go anywhere, or it gets off really well or something. It'd be interesting. But yeah, I think that what stood out with this video more than the others was the mention of Shonen Jump Plus. I think that was a really smart choice, and the narrative you were weaving here of like Shump is in a really tough spot. All of these series ended. But there's this newcomer, Kaiju number 8. Holy shit, look at these sales. Spy Family, look at these sales. I thought that was really great to include. But yeah, I think that, you know, it is kind of the same stuff he does, and it's sort of like formulaic at this point, but it's a good formula, right? It's like, yeah, I know what I'm coming in here for, and the tension he builds in a certain thing. I like that he didn't focus too much on Demon Slayer, because that's always the big narrative type of thing. I like that you really mentioned it was like, yeah, despite the success of Demon Slayer, it's kind of a freak thing. It also ended. So they don't have Demon Slayer at the moment. You know, it's sort of past them at that point. I also did like the last time on this video, and he had a sort of a shonen recap little last episode thing at the beginning of the video. I thought was funny. But yeah, good video. I just, you know, I don't have too much else to say about it, but I don't know why I'm mentioning it at that point. But I think it's just because I watched it and I thought, I was like, yeah, that was cool. I stumbled on this channel called AnimeCons TV. I guess he does a series of podcasts about anime conventions, and, you know, it's not the best time at the moment. But, you know, I think it just still has some valuable conversation at this point. And this was one about Otakon. And I had seen this tweet out, and then by Lauren, and then she shows up on this podcast, and she kind of retweeted. That's how I found it. But they have this hour conversation. The audio's not the best, and, you know, it's unfortunate the way that he cuts the video in a way that one of the people's faces are completely obscured the entire time. Little weird choice there. I don't know why they went that way. I guess it was some problem with the way Skype worked or something. Okay. But otherwise, yeah, the future of Otakon in doubt. They talk about this, about Otakon, one of the biggest and longest running, I imagine. I don't know too much about the history about Otakon, but just in conventions in general, I'm not as big on the scene. I've only been to Anime Boston like 3 times or something like that. But I always find it really interesting because it's a very strong facet and important to our culture and in terms of our community and stuff. Not like, you know, American culture or something, you know. It is American culture in a way, but anyway. Yeah, Otakon's such an important convention, and it has this long history and various successes and failures, and they kind of talked about that. I thought there was some really interesting stories about like they had this scam that happened to them where someone was going to make an Otakon video game with and they went through Kickstarter and it fell through. A lot of Kickstarters end up that way. They kind of just take the money and run or whatever, or something happens or something. And that's in reference to how Otakon's like, hey, if you could support us, we would appreciate it. But it's like, what does the money go to exactly? And then if you do fall, if you do collapse and dissolve, what happens to that money? You know what I mean? It's just kind of strange. It's weird they didn't have too much information about that, and that's something they discuss here. So I thought it was an interesting conversation. It is a little like not the most like polished, easygoing thing to experience, in my opinion, but I do like a lot of the anecdotes and the stories that they talk about with Otakon and being at cons in general, alluding to kind of what the future of cons are, the fact that we don't even know when the next con is going to be in general, if they're going to happen again. I hope so. I think the fact that everyone hopes so, I think is a good sign. I think it's a very good sign. I think eventually people are going to want that social interaction and see a lot of people around. And I think it won't be very long. I do have hope that conventions are going to continue. Even, you know, sure, they'll have masks or something, but I think it'll happen. Okay, and now what I thought were the best videos of the week. And I'm sorry this is so short. You know, I just don't have too much else to say about these. It is what it is. But I am recording late, so I mean, you know, that's helpful to me at least. The first thing is a shout out that I wanted to let you know on Onimaru's second channel. He talked with me about do anime scores even matter? But it was a very nice 2-hour conversation where Onimaru is mostly asking me questions and really picking my brain about me being an anime fan and philosophies about top tens and scoring and attitudes about being an anime fan, you know, in terms of like scoring things, but also discussing various interacting in the community in general. And it had so much conversation to it, and he just asked a bunch of questions, which was really great. Actually, I really appreciated that. But it was just a really cool conversation we had, and I really liked it. So I really encourage you to watch it, to listen to it at least. I couldn't get my my freaking camera to work, unfortunately, but I think it came out really cool. Strongly recommend that if you're curious. I think it's good. Kenny Lauderdale had a really good video, actually. The Lost Anime Found on a Vinyl Record, and he has really good research. And yeah, this is a thing. This was a pilot that had never been aired besides a 30-second commercial, and they were like, maybe we'll get picked up for an OVA or a movie or a TV series. But he learned a lot about it, although it was weird that he says like date unknown at the beginning when he had like this little title screen and it was like date unknown. But he did know what the date was. He did find out what the date was. But like the whole thing is that like it's not on Mal. It's not anywhere really. He couldn't normally Google it at all. But he did find all the information. Eventually he did find one site that did have the information, found an article with various screenshots, and then got someone to translate for it and stuff, and learned as much information he could, which was great. I think it was awesome that he did that, and he has such a big platform. It gives it more exposure. I think it's really interesting. And the thing that really pushed it over for me that I really, really liked is that he's actually shouting out Marty McFly's, because he found this on a vinyl record. It was like the kind of the soundtrack of sorts that he initially found this as. And yeah, he contacted Marty, and then he's like, if you don't know, this guy has all these crazy obscure, like, I love his channel, and I'm happy that Kenny actually cited it, especially because like I know that he I've seen him there. I've seen him comment on Marty's channel as well as like other people's channels and stuff. I know he's not like a kind of a nobody on YouTube, right? Like he really knows his way around stuff and knows his way around the internet. So like I don't know why he hadn't done this sort of thing sooner, where he's really showing people these resources and connecting to these people. It's like, hey, check out his channel. It's really cool. I really fuck with that. And when especially when larger creators do that. Super Eyepatch Wolf had a Taser Lad feature in his video, and that was really cool. I really was really happy to see that. I like that shit a lot, because it's like it shows that you're on the platform, right? And you're willing to let people know that you see them, and it's, I don't know, that visibility is really cool, I guess. I always really appreciate that. So that really made me enamored with it, and I really liked it. I'm playing with my hair way too much, dude. Jesus Christ. Hayden Loves Anime with another video, this time much bigger. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is truly special. Hayden coming through with the same kind of really cool appeals to their channel, where the video's in 480p and 4:3 and like edited in such a way that it really feels like it's from 2007 to 2008. Movie maker type of thing, bonus clips, and I love the choice of using what looks like YouTube annotations, but they're embedded in the video itself, right? But they're kind of like delayed in such a way that it looks like it's very jank and kind of that period. That was such a smart choice, really immersive. I like the personability stuff and like being in their room, pulling out the Card Captor Sakura thing and pulling out all the different cards and stuff and turning on the Game Boy and whatever. There was such a tactile, personal feel to the video. And I was surprised with how broad Hayden talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! It was about the show, about season 0, about the manga, about the card game, about the video game, and the original card game, which was really cool and interesting. I had never heard of what the prototype was like, and Hayden kind of talks about why it was very fundamentally broken and not very fun to play. And it's like, yeah, this game sucks. As the gets a little AVGN homage, which is really nice. Yeah, but it's really cool. I liked the talking about some of the animators in the corner in places. There refers to the dub, and they're like they both have their appeals. Even going so far as to going like in different languages with like the appeals of them in different the OPs and the commercials and stuff. I thought was really great. This had so much variety to it, and it was a really great immersive kind of video and a really good time. The thing that doesn't like push it over the top as like the best for me was just like it was so much. It felt like it wasn't feeling like as focused. It was like, oh, now we're talking about the card game kind of deal, but that's not a flaw at all. I think it's a feature, not a bug kind of thing. But yeah, it was one thing I was just like, huh, okay. But it's a really fun video. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys check it out. But the last video I'm going to talk about, yeah, I'm sorry, this is really short, is the goat talking about the goat. So the first Miyazaki movie. I see that he just added the Castle of Cagliostro to the title just now. Very nice. From STEVEM, and he was very kind enough to include me in this video and had it kind of similar to his Sonic video and his Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust video, but more so his Sonic video, which I loved. This idea of having a conversation with somebody and then editing that into a grander essay video and kind of weaving in and out of that and giving it a type of an additional flavor. I probably described and complimented the idea a lot better in my view of his Sonic video, but this was really cool, and I thought our conversation was really valuable and additive. I do kind of echo a lot of sentiments I make in my video, which came out the same time. I regret watching all the Lupin anime. I watched all the Lupin anime, regretted it. Whatever. But yeah, the reason I made that video, my own video, was because STEVEM reached out to me wanting to make this video and had the same idea, and I was like, okay, and then I'll make a Lupin video alongside it. And then I was like, well, I have all the I downloaded a torrent that just so happens to have pretty much all the specials. I've always been curious, why not? And it was like in October when he said that, and it was like, all right, I'll try to watch all these in the matter of a couple of months. I'm just so ticked off right now, and a few people who watch Digest, but not my other, I'm just trying to. I've already gotten too many people being like, the problem was because you binged it. No, I don't mention anywhere in that video of how far apart I watched these or my method to these. And I do clarify it in the pinned comment, but it was just so annoying that people were like, well, there's your problem. No, Pica would still suck if no matter when I watched it. Napoleon's Dictionary would still really suck no matter when I watched it. It just doesn't matter how far apart I'm watching these. And it's like, if I really feel that way, I'll go back and watch the episode. Like, I haven't seen a Lupin thing in a couple of months. I'll just watch an episode, sure. I'll probably enjoy it. Like, I'll probably enjoy it the same way that I did that time. Really. It just didn't. It's just so annoying. I've already gotten so many of that. It really doesn't matter. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, I love this video with it's my favorite movie. It's not my favorite movie, but it's one of my favorite anime movies, and movies, period. I've seen it so many times. And I really like the insights that STEVEM is bringing here, and the information and research that he does with this, and quoting with Miyazaki and stuff, were really valuable. And I liked our conversation about it. I don't know if he links our full discussion in the description or something, or if it's linked, or if it's just exclusive for his patrons, maybe. I'm not sure. I probably want to re-listen to that at some point, maybe. I don't know. But, it's a really posh, excellent Kino Cagliostro video. Hell yeah. And so, like, if you happen to see my video on Lupin, please watch his video. I do link it at the end, as well as in the description of my video and stuff. I treat it as a double feature of sorts. I think it's pretty cool. And he really helped me a lot with that video. If it just as a shoulder to cry on, because I was having so much trouble with it. Oh my god. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this installment of AniTube Digest. I think that's it. Sorry, it's again kind of short. Thank you very much to my patrons, including Austin, Beamburst, Boo, Hazel, Cozy, Kuiper, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Saxon, Unique Nemosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.